if I was in Naruto Remastered. Let's get started. So basically, we left off with them entering the tuning exams. So Rock Lee would challenge them to a taijutsu only fight. Christian would say, "Alright, I'm ready." So then, when the match would start, Christian would disappear, kicking Rock Lee in the head with his QBI form, then saying, "Ah!" Boom! He'd do Naruto's little ginormous punch on Toneri. He'd be like sending Rock Lee into a wall, saying, "You're not worth my time." Sakura would be like, "Cool, he's strong," he says. Person says, "Damn right I am. No one opposes me." Without even taking a scratch. Except for Kakashi. I'm pretty sure Kakashi could easily. Well, I mean, Sakura barely could even land a punch. So they walk over and they say, "Wow, a 4-man team. Pass in your registrations." So they all do. So Christian would pass the exam, the same thing as the 4th Hokage, and everything else would go pretty normal. For the Force of Death, it's much different. Christian decides, "I'm gonna go mark someone who needs the scroll." So they have the Earth Scroll, and they go to a guy with the Heaven Scroll. He marks them, says, "Hey guys, hope you guys do good. Hope we can be friends after the exam, no hard feelings." Yep. He says, "I marked a team." They say, "What?" He says, "Yeah, I marked a team. We can just go to that team after, once the exam starts, and steal their scroll." Christian says, "Alright." So when the exam would start, he'd disappear, steal their scroll, eat their scroll, beat them all up, knock them out, and say, "Yeah, sorry guys, I lied." Disappears, grabs the scroll, throws the flying Raijin kunai all the way to the edge, and they all disappear. So Sasuke gets no curse mark, they get no injuries. When they open the scroll, Iruka says, "You idiot!" and tries to punch Christian. He blocks it and says, "Iruka, we're in the building." He says, "How'd you pass?" He says. Christian spins around his kunai on his finger and says, "Flying Raijin." And then he goes, "Well, wow. That's good." He says, Christian just walks away and says, "Oh, I'm tired. I think I'll wait. People won't be done for 5 days." Christian would go home and train his Shiden to use it into his full hand instead of just his fist. So he finally wouldn't become Purple Lightning. He'd just be using Purple Lightning, not Black Lightning. So basically he'd be training so hard to use it. Then go, every night when he lights up his Purple Lightning as full force. Then when the exams start, they walk back and Christian says, "Alright, well, time to go. The first round is Christian versus Gata." Christian says, "Alright, up against Sandboy." Oh crap, I can't crack my knuckles. Christian would say, "Alright, I'm ready. I'm ready to end this in one shot." He says, "Hey, everyone in this arena, this match will be over in I can guarantee you all, 100,000 Rio, that this will be done in one shot." They say, "Yes, we're all getting 100,000 Rio. There's no way." And Tamori and Kakar are like, "He ain't getting a one-shot." Gaara Christian says, "Ah!" He says, "This may be risky, but ah!" Going into his one-tailed state. The Hokage says, "He could be going wild." And he says, "Purple Lightning!" Ah! Ah! Then would disappear and jab right through Gaara, knocking him out in one shot. He's like, "Pay up, bitches." He says, "Pay up." He says, "I'm kidding, you only have to pay me like 200 Rio, I really don't care." "I'm kidding, pay me at all, it's a funny bet." They say, "Alright." He goes, "How do you like that?" And Tamari and Thing are like, he just one-hitted Gaara." Christian says, "Damn right I did." Then he'd run off and say, "Weakling." Christian would walk off and say, well, I don't see how that's a challenge, but I don't care. Basically, he'd say, alright, the next match would be, all the matches would go pretty normal next, just that Rock Lee faces like 10-10 or so, like Choji or something and absolutely bodies him. Everything would go the same. Neji would defeat Hinata, Naruto would make his little promise. Thingy, Neji would make his little promise. Christian would say, alright, well, the next match, so the final match, the matches for the final cheating exams are Christian Namikaze versus Neji Hyuga. Christian says, I'm gonna have fun tearing you apart, Hyuga. He says, what? How inappropriate to destroy your enemy. He says, I'm gonna rip you apart. With a smirk on his face, and then he says, I'm gonna go find Master Jiraiya now. He says, hey, Master Jiraiya. Because he knows Jiraiya already. He says, yo, Jiraiya. He says, it's Master Jiraiya. To you, he says, yeah, whatever, pervy sage. He calls him pervy sage. He says, show me a little respect. He says, show me a little respect, buddy. He says, what are you? Because I'm the nephew of the 4th Hokage, you dummy. He says, oh, well, I'm a Sanin. Christian says, who cares? You're the perviest of all the Sanin. Orochimaru, well, no, we don't talk about him. Tsunade, I mean, she gambles a lot, but yeah, whatever. I don't really care. He says, but you are the perviest out of all of them, Jiraiya. He says, are you serious? And then he says, what? I just need training for the next Chunin exams round. I'm facing Neji Hyuga, the British Hyuga clan prodigy, which I'm gonna wreck if I get some more training. He says, oh yeah, Pervy Sage, you wanna see a new jutsu I learned? He says, stop, cut. And he says, fine, Jiraiya, you wanna see what I learned? He says, sure, what? He says, ah. And he says, purple lightning. He says, I got a better name. He says, really? He says, how about Shiden? He says, that is the same god damn thing! Purple lightning is Shiden! It's just different languages! He says, Christian goes, whatever. He goes, whatever, I don't even care anymore. So, after a month of training, after like a day of training, Naruto would come and say, hey, do you mind if I train with you? Christian says, I don't mind. He says, not too, little brats. Christian says, I'm sorry, what now? Did you just say what I think you said? He goes, yeah, you heard me. He says, oh, come on, just train us. Why does it matter to you? He says, 'cause it does. He says, fine, whatever, I'll train you for your little Chunin exams. I don't even get to take them. He says, then how the hell are you a Jonin? He goes, I am a Jonin, sorry, I forgot. I actually don't know if they did take Chunin exams back then. I actually never knew if they did take those little Chunin exams. Oh my gosh, like Chunin exams! So basically, with the match, Christian would say, alright, well, I'm gonna have fun ruining Neji. He says, I'm gonna have some fun ruining Neji. So when he walks into the arena with a smirk, he says, Neji, I'd one-on-one shot you just like I did Tagara. But I'm sorry, but that's just not my way. I think I want to torture you for torturing Hinata. I think I want to torture you even more than you did to her. So you know what? I'm gonna torture you. Chris would run up to him when the match starts and punch him in the gut, saying, this is how Hinata felt. Then slamming his fist into Neji's face, saying, yeah, this is all for what you did. You MF'er. Then pulls him up in the air by his hair and just holds down his purple lightning onto his heart, going zzz. He goes, oh, and the judges say, and everyone's in the audience is like, he's gonna kill him. He goes, and he says, stop it, you idiot, you're gonna kill him. He says, oh, I'm gonna kill him? Like he almost killed his own clan member? They go, what the? And he says, Hinata Hyuga, right there, blushy ass. blushy Hinata. Her, the one with the white eyes, sitting next to all the Nanganin over there. Her, she was almost killed by Neji Hyuga. You expect me not to go easy on him? You're stupid. Then throws Neji into the wall. Then says, how about this? And stabs Neji with a kunai, saying, come on, Neji, let's have some more fun. Slashing him in the face. Well, punching him in the face even further. And then he says, then he backflip, all the way to the wall and says, ah! He says, the blue moonlight washes over and seals it up. Yeah, I'm not doing Continental Crush. He says, ah! And purple lightning starts to come out of his hand. He goes, ah! He goes Super Saiyan 3 over here. Ah! In the purple lightning's form, he says, that's not all. He says, with a thunderclap, be gone. He says, be gone, thought. And then puts his hand down, and a giant lightning wolf comes down and bites Neji, literally obliterating Neji, knocking him out, heavily injuring him, saying, whatever. Saying, I don't even care anymore. You're too weak. Everyone would be like, even the third Hokage would be like, what the heck is wrong with that? Like, I got no idea what the heck just happened. Now, guys, I got the thing on inverted colors, because I kind of want to see what it looks like. So basically, he'd be like, oh my god, I just absolutely wrecked him. And to be fair, I don't mind. I don't MFing mind. He deserved it. I don't even mind, yeah, he deserved it. I don't even mind, cause he deserved it. He's annoying, true, he's true blue. He's annoying. And then the next match would be Sasuke versus Naruto. I just really don't care about the rest of the matches. Let's just say the final three are Naruto, Christian, and Sasuke. Christian would say, Madonna, Shadow Clone Jutsu. They all say, Purple Lightning. And they're about to say, Kirin. And they slam it down, already wasting all of his chakra up, saying, and that was a dumb mistake because I just used up all of my chakra. All of my chakra is gone. He goes, all my chakra is gone. He just says, well, whatever. He says, well, that sucks. He goes, I don't even care anymore. Then Naruto and Sasuke rush each other. Chris says, I'll let these two fight. He says, water style. He says, lightning, wind style, float. Everyone's like, what the heck kind of jutsu is that? He says, I developed a jutsu how to float with wind. He's just standing up above them and saying, well, you guys can fight it out. I'll watch. I'm not going to interfere. So basically, if I had to choose who'd win, I'd have to say Sasuke. Sasuke all the way. Sasuke would definitely win this match. Naruto would be too beaten up from his bigger fights. From his other fights, he'd just be like, yeah, Adon. He'd just lose. There's nothing he can do. He wouldn't really get close to beating him. Okay, Naruto, it would be a standoff, but Naruto would eventually lose. Versus a Wind Gale Palm clash between Chidori and Wind Gale Palm. Chidori would obviously win that clash and absolutely end Naruto! Sasuke! And that would end the rivalry of Naruto versus Sasuke. I'm kidding, the rivalry would not even be close to over. Krishna would say, Adora! Alright, Sasuke, me and you. Going into his one-tailed state, saying, alright, here it goes. But then Sand starts to rush towards feet and jumps up in the air and says, what the? And the announcer goes, it's Gara from the sand! It's Gara from the sand. Christian's like, Gara? What are you doing here? I already bodied you. Get out. He goes, only one blood. Ah! And Christian's like, well, he just turned into a cocoon. Christian goes, whatever. I really don't care. He says, whatever. Really? I honestly think you're not that strong, so I don't really care. So basically, he gets in the fight. The fight starts. Christian goes, Hadoran! I'm kidding, that's the Japanese name for Aurasphere. That's the Japanese word for Aurasphere. Basically, he would absolutely... So Gara would transform into full Shukaku. Christian's like, I just transformed into one tail. He says, hey, brat. He goes, what do you want? What do you want, Nine Tails? Can't you see that I'm in a little of a crisis? He goes, yes, and I want to help with that crisis. He goes, what, by trying to make it worse? He goes, what, by trying to make it worse? He goes, really? Just because I'm a demon fox? Does that have to be that rude? Like, are you rude to everyone like this? He says, no, just you. He goes, wow, that's a jerk move. He says, well, you kind of destroyed the village. He says, I didn't do it. I was under mind control. He says, sure, mind control. He goes, I'm telling the truth. And he says, alright then, shoot a tail beast ball at my cage. At your cage. Doesn't destroy, I'll let you out. If it destroys it, you can stay out for the rest. But if it doesn't, you don't get to. He says, my chakra is basically gone. He says, whatever, well, I'll unleash you. You better not do anything crappy, or I will Shiden you to death. He goes, whatever. He says, Shiden! So basically, he rips open the so he just lets him out and says, ah! He says, oh no, the Nine Tails. He says, it's okay, Lord Okage. He knows what'll happen to him if he does it. He goes, wow, never thought a kid would say that to the Nine Tails. But, not my problem anymore. He says, come here, boy. What do you think you're doing? Get back here. So then basically he would jump up in the air and say, I am Japa Francois. He'd say, Sparta, and I need to stop. I need to stop. Basically, Kurama would absolutely body Shukaku, saying, Shukaku, calm down. It's me, Kurama. He says, yeah, I know it's you, Kurama, you stubby little fox. He goes, alright, well, I was rude, so I'm gonna kill you now. He absolutely wrecks Shukaku, saying, Shukaku, calm down! He says, no! But then he finally beats Shukaku down until Shukaku finally says, fine, Kurama, you win! He says, just stop hurting me! Kaguramo told you to stop hurting me! Christian goes, who the hell's Kaguramo? He goes, that's the name of the Sage of Six Paths. He goes, cool. I want to meet him someday. He says, he goes, so basically after saving the village, he would get credit, but he wouldn't be the hero yet. So Sasuke and Christian would end their fight with a clash between Kirin and, well, actually, Shiden and Chidori. But Shiden would eventually win in with the help of the Nine Tails enhanced power. He says, well, that was easy. Well, that wasn't easy. That hurt. Basically, when they'd both go to the hospital after that, from fainting, for all the chakra abuse, not abuse, of use. They use too much chakra and they're both knocked out. They go, Sakura would go swim for Sasuke and say, oh, Sasuke-kun, are you okay, Sasuke-kun? Krishna would say, what a simp. Out loud, like he yelled, what a simp! Sasuke, how do you deal with this every single day? She says, what? And he says, Sasuke, like how? He just wants to know, like, how does he put up with this? someone running into the room saying, "Oh, Sasuke-kun, Sasuke-kun, oh, are you okay, Sasuke-kun?" Hey, and he goes, "Shut up for once. Sasuke-kun, kun. Ah! God damn it! I'm sick of this." And she just goes, "Bye, Sasuke-kun," and walks up to Christian and says, "If you ever interrupt me and Sasuke again, I will kill you." He says, "Yeah, nice try, simp." And she just walks out of the room. He says, "Do you have to deal with her every single day?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "I am sorry for you." He goes, "I get used to it." He goes, "I would never get used to it. I'd just say, please, go away." I would yell, Sasuke. He'd say, "I'm sure you would, judging by how you just did it right now." He says, "I don't care." Basically, after the tuning exams Christian would just be promoted to tuning, and nothing else would happen. Like, Sasuke wouldn't get to become the curse mark boy. Nothing else would happen. Like, seriously. Like, nothing else would happen. Basically, so after a couple of months of them just going on missions, Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto are all promoted to tuning, and Jiraiya wants to go train him. Christian says, "Alright, well, Minato told me to go do this, so, yo, Jiraiya, can I train with you for like 1.5 years and go train somewhere else? Go train on Mount Miyaboku for like the rest of it?" He says, "Sure." So they train for about a year and a half, then Christian dips and runs and goes to Mount Miyaboku, training for Sage Mode. Going, Sage Mode. Hold on, am I on mute again? Good, I'm not on mute. I was on mute last week, on the remake of Part 2. So he'd be like, "Ah, yes!" Then he'd master Sage Mode after that year and a half, and he'd return to the Leaf Village. But not before something happens. He sees an Akatsuki member saying, "You're the Nine Tails. I want to kill you." He says, "Oh, well, this is going to be a struggle." Siege Mode. And says, Rasengan, ramming it into him, sending him flying back and saying, "Smoke Bomb," throwing into his face and then punching Deidara out of this world, saying, and Deidara would just say, "I'm not dealing with him. If we get him, then there's no point. It's going to take us a long time to get the full Nine Tails." He says, "Whatever." So he leaves. Christian would say, "Whatever, I'm ready to go." So basically, when he walks into the village, he says, "Yo, Naruto!" He yells and says, "Nah," and has to bend back all the way to where he has to, his full, he just has to jump, actually. He jumps super high and says, "Jeez, is that a..." He says, "I spy with my little eye a flying Naruto." He says, "Definitely uselessness is doing." Then he lands in the ground and says, "Definitely uselessness is doing. Let's go find them." And he says, "Oh, hey, Konohamaru, Moegi, Udon." They say, "Hey," and then they turn, and then out of nowhere, their teeth start chattering. They're going, I'm not sure you could hear that. Their teeth start chattering. He's like, "What are you guys scared of?" He says, "Uselessness is behind me, isn't she?" They say, "Yep." And he goes, "Shoot. Well, I'm ready to be sent. I really don't care anymore." And he does. 300 meters to be exact. Sasuke would say, "What the?" He'd say, Christian would throw up a smoke bomb and say, that message says, "Hi, Sasuke." He'd be like, "Oh, well, I guess that's him," and crashes into the Hokage face, saying, "Duh, whatever, I really don't care anymore. Uselessness is gonna be uselessness forever." So he blitzes over to Sasuke and says, "Hey, Sasuke." He goes, "Jeez, He says, "Did you see my message in the sky?" He said, "Yeah, I did. It said hi." He said, Yeah, you see." "Well, where's Kakashi?" He says, "Oh, Kakashi's over there." He says, "Yo, Kakashi." Now Sasuke would be a Jonin with a sword on it. He'd basically be the Shippuden Sasuke from Tsunade's Infinite Tsukuyomi Dream. like that. But he wouldn't be training with Shisui. He'd be training with Kakashi. He'd be like, cool outfit, Sasuke. He says, when's the next Chunin exams? He says, actually, it's coming up. But you really don't have to because you're already a Chunin. He says, alright, well, whatever. Let's go gather the team together. He says, so, you four. I guess it's time for our bell test. Kristen says, please, Kakashi. I don't think this is going to work good for you. He says, really? He says, yeah, I'm pretty sure we're all like 20 times stronger than you now. Even Sasuke. I mean, Sasuke's gone up to 3 Tomoe. I've got MF in Sage mode. Naruto's got Mastered One-Tailed Cloak. And, well, uselessness is uselessness. I don't know what she's got. He says, she's about to punch and he says, nope, I don't know. I only know what he knows and he knows. He goes, so calm it down, uselessness. And she goes, whatever. Oh, great, my controller's dying even though it's been on the charger for 30 minutes straight. So he just walks away and says, I really don't care. So when it starts, he meditates. When he says start, Christian would jump up in the air and would actually just sit down. Kakashi's like, what are you doing? He says, and then his eyes would turn into a frog, like he's like, oh shoot, I just let him do that. Naruto says, no, Naruto. He'd say, ah. He'd say, Sasuke, you too. He says, Sharingan. He'd say, Sakura, whatever you can do, I really don't know. He'd say, chia, and punch the ground. He'd be like, oh, well, I guess I shouldn't be calling her uselessness anymore if she can punch the ground like that. Well, whatever. He jumps up in the air and clash, and he says, and he punches Kakashi, but Kakashi dodges. But then Kakashi goes flying up in the air and says, eat a frog punch, MFer. And then he says, oh, really? Chris would say, Shiden! And hit Kakashi with the Shiden. Then Christian would backflip over Kakashi with grabbing Kakashi's arms and slamming him behind him. Then Kakashi would say, water style, water dragon jutsu. So now I'd say, wow, that Christian kid has actually grown. Has been way stronger. Now, Tsunade during the 3-year time skip would have became the Hokage. Christian would have said, wow, never knew that would happen. But, whatever. He says, water style, water dragon jutsu. Christian says, lightning style, sharp shooting. And he puts out his finger like a gun and shoots it. Yeah, I'm Kaminari. He's Kaminari, by the way. Yeah. He Kaminari, by the way. He Kaminari, by the way. He Kaminari. Nari. Yeah. He shoots it. Electrocuting. He says, I'm a Chipawomp. Oh no, yo. And just absolutely bodies Kakashi, saying, eat this, Kakashi. Then he blitzes right through Kakashi's water dragon and punches him in the face. So hard that he says, oh, well, that's blood on your mask. And, oh. Kakashi's mask cuts a little bit. He says, oh, a tooth. Well, that's a little bit bad. He says, I guess I punched him too hard. He goes, damn right you did. And then he says, well, time for my next move. He jumps up to the sky and says, hey, Sasuke, Sakura, Naruto, distract him. He charges up so much chakra into his hand and says, with a thunder clap. He says, wait a minute. Why the hell isn't this working? He says, oh yeah. There's no claps. He says, yo, Sasuke, need ya. Naruto, Sakura, you distract. They go, he says, shoot a fireball in the sky. He says, sure. He goes, fire style, fireball jutsu. And create the thunderstorm. Christian says, with a thunder clap. Naruto and Sakura, move out of the way. Be gone. Boom! Absolutely electrocuting Kakashi. Then he says, thanks for the bells. And he says, it says, Shadow Clone Jutsu. He whispers, Shadow Clone Jutsu. And makes 4 bells and throws 3 of them to Naruto. He says, wait a minute, Kakashi. He says, you had 4? He says, no. He says, those 2 are clones. He says, well, those 2 were clones, so whatever. I'm not sure if the Sora thing was canon, plus I don't care. So after the bell test, a couple of days later, they would get after meeting with everyone, they say, after reuniting with Team 8, Team Shikamaru, Team Guy, and that's all I really know. After reuniting with them, says, whatever. Well, that's pretty good. Basically, he jumps up in the air, and he says, hold on a minute. He sees some skinny kid with some weird black top. And he's like, I don't care, probably just some random villager. He says, maybe a shinobi, I don't know. So, they do their little Gara mission. That would go pretty normal, because Christian say, I think you guys deserve to have an original, I think we should all do this. So the mission would go pretty normal, except Dater would actually die in this timeline since Sasuke is here this time, and also Christian's there, and he has the MF and Sage mode, which he says, you're the Ninetales brat from earlier. Christian would say, yeah, got a problem with it? He says, I hate you, Ninetales brat. He says, that's what they all say. And Naruto goes, wow. He says, Dater says, I hate you, Ninetail Fox. He says, that's what they all say, Datara. That's what they all say. He goes, wow, that's depressing. Your own village saying that's what they all say? Well, that's a little depressing. He goes, whatever. So after the mission, they'd meet some so Christian and Sasuke are walking around the village saying, well, Sasuke, this is fun. Not doing anything, just walking around this awesome village that treated me like trash earlier. He goes, well, we're not going to talk about that, because I'm over that. He goes, no, I didn't expect you to be having a grudge against an entire village. He says, I don't like keeping grudges, because the more I keep them, the less friends I will have. And he says, well, I only got 4, actually. I only got like 10. He says, who are those? He says, well, basically all the Roki 9. I mean, except for uselessness, because, well, she's a simp for you. And uselessness wouldn't actually change in this timeline. She wouldn't actually change and be like, oh, I want to take Sasuke back because Sasuke's here. He'd say, Mulan, I don't really like her. She's kind of annoying, but whatever. Basically, on their way back, they'd say, well, Kakashi actually did use Kamui and he's really injured. Christian goes, alright, well, I'm walking back. He sees a shinobi. He says, hey, who are you? He says, I'm Sai. And I guess, like, he would attack them or something. Christian would say, nice try, Buster, and appear right behind him with a kunai, saying, I will end you right now if you ever try that again. And he says, oh, will you? He says, hey. He says, I really don't care who you are. I don't care if your name is Sai. I don't care if you work for anyone. You ever attack me again, you're dead. He says, you hear me? Activating Sage mode and the Two Tails form. It says, you will die. Then he'd punch Sai in the face, sending him sky high in the air, saying, and he'd say, I'm not done yet. And appear right behind him and say, Vermilion Rasengan. Hitting Sai with both them, then sending him down. Then out of nowhere, Sakura would see someone flying down towards her. She'd be like, what the? She sees Christian in his two-tailed form. She's like, who's that? He says, tried to kill me, so I will bring it back to him tenfold. Then he'd say, oh yeah, well, I'm bored. See you later, guys. He says, well, whatever. Sai would actually be scared in his life, saying, I almost just died to this guy. So basically, he would walk. So basically, while Kakashi's there, they're gonna need a new sensei and another teammate. They're like, we already have 4, and he says, well, we're gonna add 1 more. Either way, he says, all right. He says, he sees Sai. Christian says, powers up into Sage mode and QB mode, saying, dun, 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 dun. And they're like, what are you doing? And he says, Vermilion Rasengan Barrage. And they go, hold on, and they try to hold him back, but he immediately just breaks through and says, die. About to hit him and says, Rasengan Barrage. and then he's restrained. And then he calms down out of it and says, "That's the guy who just tried to kill me earlier." He goes, "That is legit the guy who just tried to kill me." He'd say, "Ah!" and is trying to strike Sai, but then he'd say, out of nowhere, he'd say to Sakura, "You're annoying, and you're also ugly." Then Sakura and Christian would be like, "Oh, whatever. He only called you ugly, Sakura. Why do you gotta get so angry? He literally tried to kill me. You dummy, I'm gonna kill him first." And he's like, "I will not accept this guy on my team. I don't care who tells me." Yamato tries to do scary face, and Christian does into his Nine-Tail state and says, "That doesn't scare me, dummy." He goes, "Only Naruto's scared of that stuff," he says. "Hey, no I'm not." And he just gets stared and he's like, Christian says, "Yo, Sasuke, cool sword, where'd you buy it? I want to go buy one." He says, "Just tell me," he says, "it's an Anbu blade." He says, "Get me one? Tell me where you found one right now." He says, "Over there." He says, "Lord Hokage, can I have an Anbu sword?" He says, "Sure, here." Summoning jutsu. And summons another one. He summons a sword. Christian would attach it to his clothes, like clipping it on, saying, "Whew, no, I'm gonna go train with Sasuke." Disappears. And then he says, "Yo, Sasuke, you mind training me how to use this thing? I'm terrible with weapons. Besides kunai." He says, "Sure." So they start sparring for a couple of days with these swords, so Christian will get better. Christian even learns how to add the lightning affinity to it. Then he says, "Woohoo, I'm a sword master!" He says,